Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. A few weeks ago I made a pleated skirt and I made it out of a fabric that already was pleated, and I told you then that I had another fabric, and that is this fabric. It's also already pleated, so very easy because you don't have to do anything about that. It's a dark blue, night blue with some flowers on it, so it's very nice, beautiful fabric. It's very thin, it's very sheer. So it's really good for summer, and I'm gonna make a basic classic summer dress out of it with spaghetti straps. Because my fabric is sheer, I will line it, and because of the pleats you don't really have to make it very wide, because when the pleats flare out your dress automatically gets very wide. So we'll make it in a very simple and easy pattern, so not difficult to do. If you have your basic pattern, that I will link down below as always if you don't have that yet. And we will make a very nice summer dress that is very quick to make, so you can wear it this summer. So I'll show you what we're gonna make and how we're gonna make it. And if you like the dress that I'm wearing now, it is a shirt dress. I made it also on my channel, so I will link down below in the description box the sewing class how you can make this dress if you like that too. So what it's gonna look like, I didn't put some inspiration pictures on because it's just the normal summer dress that you see all over, so I didn't bother to search for any pictures. So it has thin straps, spaghetti straps. I will make them out of cord elastic, but you can also just use some binding or whatever you like for your straps. I like cord elastic because they are very small but very strong, so they won't break. So I make my front in a curve. You also have the option to do it straight across if you like that. On my body type it doesn't look nice, so I make it a little bit of a curve. Then of course open armholes, and I put here on a belt. I will make a belt out of the same fabric because I like that. You can also switch it up for a normal belt, but the dress will be just going out. It will be cut rather straight on, but because this all is pleated, when the pleats are not secured, they will just flare out. So when you take off the belt, it will go out like an A-line dress. Because my fabric, my pleated fabric, is very sheer, I will line it. So I will line it with a stretchy fabric, but not pleated. But that makes the process a little bit different. But you can also make it when your fabric is not sheer. You can just make it without lining. And I will tell you how to do that, because that's even more simple to do. So it's just rather straightforward. The front and the back are the same, so I didn't even bother to draw that. And it's just a nice summer dress to have and to wear. For the pattern you will need just your basic pattern for a top or a dress. And what I did, I measured how low I want the top of my dress to be. So I just measured from my shoulder down how low I want it to be. I took off 17 centimeters and I fold that in. And then what you can do, if you like a square neckline, you can just leave it like this. I will, when I put it onto my fabric, I will curve it up a bit, because I am more of a fan of the more rounded neck holes. But you can also just do it like this and then attach your shoulder straps here, but I will make it rounded up and I'll show you when I put it on my fabric. We're gonna of course make the side seam going straight on, but I'm not gonna make a total new pattern out of it, because I will just do it straight on onto my fabric, because it is so simple that you don't have to use more new paper, and that's just a waste. So just need this for the front and for the back. And then what I did with the fabric, same as I did with the pleated skirt that we made a few weeks ago, I put some painter's tape here on top of the fabric to get the pleats down, because I don't want to cut the fabric with the pleats open up. I want them flat, like they are pressed in. So I put some painter's tape all around my fabric to keep them down. And when I've cut out my pattern, I will give the edges of my pattern just a stay stitch, so that I, because I get a curve in here, I cannot use now my painter's tape the whole way. I will give it just a small bit from the edge, just a stay stitch to keep my pleats in place after I've cut it out. And what I did, I made a fold on either side. So I have the fold here and I have the fold here. So here are the raw edges in the middle, because I want to put my pattern on top of the fabric for the front and for the back. And then I have now 2 folds to do that. So I already cut my front pattern, and here, instead of going straight on, I cut it a bit of in a curve. I measured just where I want my shoulder strap to be. That's about in the middle of this piece, so I marked it there. So that will be the top part of my curve. And then I went on to the end of the armhole, the bottom of the armhole. So that means this corner will be cut off, and then I have a straight line to the bottom of my armhole. And then I just cut the middle of my fabric, because that will be a bit wider than my pattern, but way more than what it looks like now, because these pleats of course will flare out, so this will be really rather wide. For my lining, of course, because that is just a straight fabric, it is stretchy but it's just straight on, no pleats. I will cut it off a little bit on an A-line to get the same, well, almost the same amount of fabric here around the hip area as this fabric will be when it is stretched out, when the pleats are stretched out. So make sure that you don't cut it straight on with your lining, because then your lining will be tighter than your top fabric, and that is not comfortable and also not really nice. So you can cut this straight on, or like me in a curve. I'll do the same for my back, because the back pattern will be exactly the same. So I changed my painter's tape a little bit, because I don't like to make the stay stitch over the painter's tape. You can certainly do that, but I don't like to have to whip it off when there is a stitching in between. So I just position it a little bit lower, and I just do a stay stitch 1/2 centimeter from the edge, just to put down the pleats before I attach the lining. So I also cut out my lining part. This is exactly the same as the pleated fabric, but you see now from the bottom of the armhole I went a bit out in an A-line, because my pleated fabric will open up when the pleats open up, and this will be just the straight underneath fabric. And when you make it the same width as your pleated, this will be too tight, or even at least tighter than your outer fabric, and that is not comfortable, I think. So I made it just like this. Sewn my stitch here on the top of my pleated fabric, so that I could take off my painter's tape, because now the pleats are nicely sewn down, and then I can attach it to my lining with the pleats nicely in place, so I don't have to worry about that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew our side seam. So I put them right sides together, and you sew here from the bottom of your armhole all the way down. And when you have lining like I have, you can also do it for the lining, both side seams sewn down. Placed my lining inside my pleated fabric, and right sides together, of course. And what I do is I will sew the whole top part of the dress, front and back, together along the neck hole and the armhole. So then I have my lining attached to my outer fabric, and I just have to flip it inside out, and then they are nicely attached. If you don't line the dress, that's not a problem at all. You can also finish your armholes first with some biastape. You can just fold it doubled and then around the edges of your dress. And you can finish that like that. You can also finish here the front and the back hole like that. But what you also can do, and also when you line your dress you can do that, you can make a casing here. Of course you do that from not like this with my lining here, but you can just fold it in and then top stitch that part, and then you have a casing where you can feed your straps through your elastic or whatever you use. You can do that too for the front and for the back. Make sure that when you do that you first finish your armholes and then make the casing, otherwise you will close up here the part where you have to go into your casing. So you can do that too, whether you line it or not, that's not a difference. But I like it more when I don't have a casing, just I have my straps. So I put some cord elastic, very small elastic, inside my between the lining and the fabric on both sides here where the points are in the neck hole. I let them stick it out a bit, and I sew them together when I sew my fabric to my lining, and just give it some reinforcement stitchings here so that your elastic will be tightened very good. I don't do that for the back because I want to try the dress on first to see how long I want my straps to be. So I'll just cut them long enough to sew them now in the front, and then when I flip the dress right side out, I will attach them here at the back of the dress, also on the points in the neck hole. So that's very easy to do. So you have some options, whatever you like, whatever you prefer to do and to make. So I'm going to sew my fabric and my lining together, attaching my straps in the front, and then I'll come back. Lining and outer fabric are now attached here at the top. In the front I have my straps already attached, and now what you can do is you can understitch here on the lining side and secure that like that. I think I will top stitch it very close to the edge to make sure that my pleats really stay nicely on top. Although I'm not really a fan of top stitching always, I think now in this case I will, especially here in the corners of the armhole. I think my pleats will stay more nicely and fall more nicely when they are more here, a bit more secured. So I'm going to do that. secured my straps also on the back after measuring how long I want them to be, but because they are elastic, it's very easy to do. Then the only thing we have to do now is hem the bottom. What I will do for the pleated fabric is I will make a walled hem with my serger. That's a very easy and very nice way to finish a hemline, because it gives a very close, like sort of zigzag stitch, but it finishes off very nicely. You can do that too. If you don't have a serger, you can also make a walled hem with your sewing machine. Or if you're not good at it, I am not, I really cannot work with a walled hem foot. You can also make just a very tight zigzag stitch, or make just a normal hem. I also hemmed this fabric in the video that I made a few weeks ago, where we made the pleated skirt. So you can see there how I did that and how that looked. Then you can decide for yourself what you want to do. And then the lining I also have to finish, of course. I'll just make a very small hem, and you won't see that because it's a bit shorter than the outer fabric. Because I had some fabric left, I always like to have a belt in the same fabric as the dress. I'm not always using it because I also like to use a normal belt, but I always like to have one on hand, just in case sometimes it looks nicer. So I just got a piece that is 7 centimeters wide. I will fold it double, and I will just take the pleats out. So I will sew them, just stretch out, double it up, and then just sew together, even top stitch it maybe. You can also just fold it in like a biastape and then sew it down. You can do that too. I think I will do it like that. So that is what you can do. And I measured when I take all the pleats out, when I just stretch it out, that is flat. It is 1 meter and 70 centimeters, so that's even more than the normal width of the fabric in my country. The finished result. Really nice summer dress, very easy to make, very nice and cool in summer. I made my belt from the same fabric. I like that very much because it gives just one whole silhouette, but still you have your waist definition. But of course you can also just put a normal belt on, a leather belt or whatever you have to take in the waist. If you don't, it's really a wide dress, but because of the pleats it will take in a bit, because it is a lot of fabric when I stretch it out, as you see, but because of the pleats it goes nicely small down and it's not that heavy, not that bulky, when you make it from this kind of fabric. So I really like this fabric. I lined it because, so now it's a bit thicker than just a one layered dress, but still it's very nice and airy, and of course because of the small straps it is not hot on hotter days. So you can of course also make it just from cotton or viscose or whatever. You can also make the straps a bit wider if you like that more. Then still it is a very nice and airy dress. If you make it out of a fabric that doesn't have pleats, make sure you give it a little bit of A-line, because otherwise it will be quite tight here around the lower area, and I think that is not really comfortable when it's warmer weather. So it's a very nice and simple to make dress, very easy to do, but very nice to wear. You can also pair it with a blazer or something for the evening to have it a little bit more dressed up. But also you can wear it to the beach or whatever you like. It's very versatile and very nice to have in your closet. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the description box and I'll get back to you. Also, if you have something to say, something to ask, leave me a comment. I always like to read your comments, and I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!